It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome to another Pyramid Head video today. As a P100 Pyramid Head main, we're going ahead and playing Haunted by Daylight, and we're just going to break down in a post-commentary style as to how I played this match, maybe see where I could have maybe played better. Maybe you can also learn something. As you can see off the bat, we have a survivor kind of clicking, losing his mind. And ultimately, I don't recommend trying to chase survivors that want to be chased. Just as a rule of thumb, if you are starting out with killer and stuff like that, you just really don't. It's better to go after the survivors that don't want to be chased initially, just to get some pretty good pressure going. Right here, I drop down the power just so in case I can go for a shot, you know, sort of like a blind fire, sort of like there. The more you learn the ability, the more you can really kind of predict and kind of go for shots like that. Now, the shot there was a little bit ambitious. Now, there I tried to go for the shot as they go for the doorway, but I kind of mistimed it, which we did get a hit on the Atom. Now, realistically, if I had gone for the shot, just like if I waited an extra second for them to cross the doorway, they would be a lot harder to dodge, and I would have been able to hit them a lot, you know, with my power. But we switch over. We have two different survivors injured. You can see another one trying to click. We're trying to go for like the camera movement to go side to side, so it's a lot harder to discern which direction I'm going to fire from. But I didn't end up flicking to the correct direction. Now, I am playing on a controller. You can play Pyramid Head on a controller. It is possible. I've gotten all the way to P100 using controller. I probably even could have gone for a flick there. So, now to be fair, I like after I had gotten P100, I had stopped playing Pyramid Head for a little bit. So this one was clicking, losing his mind. So that's why we go ahead and get a little bit of some some back steps there. I guess we'll call it that for the sake of the video. And we didn't actually get the timing for the pain res, unfortunately. The gen does fly, and Deadlock does block the gen with the most amount of progress. Pain res will still activate. Even if you do have Deadlock, it just won't damage the gen that has the most amount of progress. It will damage the gen that has the second most amount of progress, which could, you know, vary. So it's a little bit risky to go for that idea. I do think I need to swap out Deadlock, but I was going for like a full block type of build. So we do get the shot there, which is really nice. We're running double range. It's usually I'm a little bit better with like range and duration, but double range is just very good for aura reading. So it really just depends on what you want to go for. There are drawbacks to both. If you run double range, your power is a little bit slower to travel. So it's a little harder in rotations like this pallet to get like some pretty good hits. Which I was able to get the down there pretty easily. So I had assumed they would most likely have decisive. So that's why I just went straight for the cage. The best thing to do, especially with a build like that I'm using, you want to get the first hook on a pain res and use Grim and everything. Second hook, if you get them in the trail, just cage them up so that in case there's any like decisive or anything like that, you can completely ignore it, and apply as much pressure as possible from that. Now, they got a very fast heal. I'm not entirely sure how they did that. I wasn't sure, which I also did a misplay there. When they start to run behind you as Pyramid Head, just stand still so that they can't slip past you. It's better to just go for that. I did go for a shot there, ended up hitting the Atom, which is good. As you can see, the Ripley's also shining their flashlight pretty hard. But we're trying to ultimately go after the Atom. We have Deadlock at least giving us some slowdown in the meantime. And we know we can go after Atom because we know for a fact that the altruism is pretty crazy with this team. They got flashlights, and you can see that they're following me around, trying to attempt to save. So that's when we try to use it to our advantage. You see even Nia's flying in. This one's dropping a smoke bomb, trying to, like, you know, hide the direction that their teammate's going. But we have the awareness, and we have the scratch marks to show us where the Atom is going to head to. Now, he already stepped in trail, so if he does still have decisive somehow, we can just go ahead and cage him again, or final judgment, depending on how many hook states he has. He's already on second state, I believe, so we can just final judgment, which takes about a second or so to complete the animation, so it means you can save time from hooking as well. Now, one thing about Pyramid Head you're going to also have to keep in mind, though, is that when you go for shots, you do have to be pretty fast. You know, you can't really waste too much time, which is what I've noticed when I played the character. He does, of course, have dead hard because they always do. You have to always assume, especially when you're at the highest level, or at a very high level, you're gonna pretty much end up seeing a lot of second chance perks. Usually because they're just usually because of the strength of it. It does allow for, you know, very easy pressure on the survivor end because they can easily just activate the perk for basically just dying. So like if they like decisive or dead hard or something like that, they just earn from getting killed in the first place. So you know that for a fact you're gonna have to end up going against that quite a bit. So we go for the knockdown on the Nia. I figured that I would leave her slugged for now and then try to maybe see if I can get another knockdown or something like that, because there's a lot of people lurking with flashlights. We want to kind of keep that in mind. But I do end up going for the hook here. And then we go for the pain res on top of the Dead Man Switch and the Grim Embrace. Now, it's a pretty good trilogy of perks, you can call it, the little try combo here, you know what I'm saying? Because Pain Res will blow up a gen that they're working on that has the most amount of progress. Dead Man's will block it, right? Then you have Grim when you step away from that generator, or the hook, I should say. Very good shot on my part. I held down the power until they got to the window. With that type of play, you do have to kind of keep in mind, you know, what the survivor is trying to do. Now there was a bit of a prediction. He I think was looking back at me quite a bit. It's a little bit different when you're playing Pyramid Head compared to like maybe other ranged killers. But the mentality is still the same. If they're looking right at you, you probably should just fake. I did go for the shot there. It's supposed to land, but I think I misaligned it by like a little bit. So I think that kind of messed me up there. But I did actually get the mind game. So there's a couple different things I'm going to point out. One, the window shot. You kind of hold your power like I'm doing now in this particular chase and just kind of wait, see if for your moment to shine. And then we got the final judgment on Adam. That's one thing to note. Another thing was the perks, right? So Pain Res will basically force Dead Mans to activate, and then you have Grim that'll force them off the gens anyway. So what will happen is if they let go of the generator, for any reason, Dead Mans will activate onto the gen for about 50 seconds. So if they are still like grabbing the gen, like and trying to complete it, even though Dead Mans went off, I mean not Dead Mans, Pain Res went off or anything like that, they're forced to let go of it anyway. So we went for a little bit of a nod there. That's usually like something I've been utilizing. And second hook for them will be a cage. I do that because the animation for Pyramid Head is very obvious. Like they can see the direction your head is pointing. Like your arms are like holding the big knife and you're like placing it, you're pointing it in different directions. So what I do is I try to like see if I can go side to side with it, just so that it's harder to kind of see where the shot's coming from. So then because of that, it can potentially allow for a hit because it can't predict what you're going to do. Now we knocked down the Rebecca. This one kind of slow balled it off, so I figured I'd just let her go. There's no point in using the power there because it may just miss and we're just going to waste more time. So I figure we go for the Pain Res option and use that to our advantage. Then get the third stack of Grim and stuff like that. Now another thing with Grim is also that's pretty good is that when you get all your fourth stack off, that you block all the gens for 40 seconds. Add that onto the fact that Dead Man's is going to give you 50 seconds per gen that they let go. You're getting some pretty solid slowdown throughout the game, which is going to be very good for a character like Pyramid Head, despite this like the relative strength, which you're going to see again. I did that. They were kind of forced into vaulting. And I didn't break the wall, which the reason for that is that because I didn't want them to be able to rotate back in for that window again. Because a lot of the time when you break walls in certain maps, you're going to end up opening with certain rotations that make it a lot harder to catch up. So, you know, I treat Pyramid Head a little bit like an M1 in that sense, where I want to focus on eliminating options, leaving walls like closed depending on which wall it is. If it's like Dead Dog Saloon, I'll break the wall down in a lot of the walls. But maps like these, like this one in particular, I want to be able to keep certain walls up if it's available to me, depending on the RNG, to cut off rotations. Now Pyramid Head's power in general does counter the pallets, the window vaults and stuff like that, depending on the spots and stuff like that and your aim. But even then, you know, you never know, right? Because, you know, depending on this main building in particular, this chapel, it does spawn sometimes a god window. that you just simply, you know, as an M1, you're not going to be able to counter and stuff like that. So it's really just kind of like, you just kind of play it by ear depending on what you get. Now, in the Void, in particular for this event mainly, is a little bit tricky. You can go for shots, relatively go for shots, like at the edges of the circular area here. You can't go over the gap, but there's like little, the edge of it you can still use. One of the other things that I'll mention in the video is definitely the fact that you want to be able to get your haunts up, and that applies to any killer, not even just Pyramid Head. But with the current event, the haunts are quite useful. They're quite valuable, and they're very good. I will say it gives you a ranged option, helps with killers like Pyramid Head, where, you know, maybe you're not going to get the timing right, but you can get the down very quickly, as you could even see on the screen there. Just quickly down him, you know, get it over with. Now there I probably should have just went for the pain res if I could, but Deadlock does block the gen with the most amount of progress. So what ends up happening is that pain res, you know, will, instead of damaging that same gen with the most progress, it'll pick the next one with the most amount of progress. So it could easily end up damaging a gen that doesn't have much progress at all. And you end up kind of using up your charge, which is a bit unfortunate. Now on this little cart, or whatever you want to call it, the trolley, I don't know what that is. But you can actually go for a shot, you know, straight through, and it actually goes down a little bit of the little steps there. So I used the haunt there just for a quick down, and then we switch over to where the Ripley is. Now they did run into the Void, so we just follow him in. Now, I will say I think the Void is probably, it's pretty fun to go into. I would think it can be a little bit tricky because of their ability to use it to kind of like a fast travel almost. But yeah, as you can imagine, pretty good stuff. And that is game, pretty much. But I will mention they did end up getting up with Unbreakable, so we're gonna keep it going. You know, we're gonna keep it going. We were just grabbing some points for ourselves, you know. And we just go ahead and follow the scratch marks as you would, you know. And I will say, there's definitely, just in general, it's definitely going to be a bit of a skill gap. Learning the Pyramid Head again. Me personally, he is a character that you really need to spend a lot of time practicing. You need to spend a lot of time sort of keeping up with your Pyramid Head games. If you do main Pyramid Head and you just you love playing Pyramid Head, you know, then there's no downside to that. You're gonna constantly be ready to go. But unfortunately, which I did go for a little bit of a mind game there. And we just hit him with the nods because, you know, they were one of the two that were clicking. So we just go ahead and place Rebecca on the hook, and then we'll just go ahead and Mori the Ripley. So, you know, I wanted it to look cinematic, so we decided to place him in the middle of the chapel here, which it actually looks quite good. It kind of makes me think of like maybe a Silent Hill kind of setting. So looks good. I was using the default Pyramid Head this time around. I thought it would be interesting. That'd be fun. To kind of use, you know, the cosmetics, and those are the builds that they were using, and then we could jump into the next gameplay. Man, this map is like way too common. Was that balance or something? No. How'd they get so much distance? There he goes. Damn, her doing that just got her cooked. I mean, she's in deep wounds, so if she wants to play it, we could play it. So they shouldn't be able to make. Oh, flashbang. Yeah, no. Then. What are you doing? Yeah, her path then has to be all weird because of my power. I don't mind that. Go. There you go. That's all you needed to do. Just, you know, it just works. It just works. You know, that's what we're here for. You know, this is the type of BP gain we're here for. 175,000 BP. That's what we're here for.